All right, for my topic, we're gonna get a little bit artsy fartsy here, and it's not really that artsy fartsy, but it's about as artsy fartsy as a role playing game can get. I want to talk about Everway, which was a WotC role playing game launched, I think, in the '90s, and it carried over. Uh, the main thing I know about the design is that Jonathan Tweet was the one who designed it, of third edition D&D, 13th Age, and I think he worked on Magic for a little bit too.
Third edition?
Yeah, third edition D&D. He was the
3.0 or 3.5?
I think just 3.0. He was the lead designer. He might have worked on 3.5. I don't know. I just know he's involved in 3.0.
Ah,
But Everway is kind of it's a diceless RPG, so take that as you will, but basically conflicts are resolved with a tarot card deck.
huh.
You flip it face up or face down,
Ow.
and depending on what card you draw, different stuff can happen. And the book references like sample stuff for you to come up with based on every tarot card. But the interesting thing about character creation, and I guess I kind of have to explain the setting first. It's almost like the most Magic the Gathering RPG a game can get, because it has something called like circle walking or sphere walking is what it's
Sphere
called.
walking. Yep.
And so you're basically like a planeswalker guy that goes to different like multiverses and realms and stuff, and that's kind of how you adventure. Think almost like Amber as well, if you're familiar with the Amber fantasy novels. So the way character creation works is you have four stats similar to the ones in L5R. They're all based on elements. So you have fire. Fire is your strength in the game. You have water. That's your perception. Air is your intelligence. And earth is your endurance. And these all go from 1 to 10. 1 being like you're literally like crippled probably if you have like a strength or a fire of 1. To like average, I think was a 2 or a 3, and then you can get up to like super godlike levels of 10. And the GM basically uses it as like a scale to figure out how good you would be at doing a certain thing while he or she flips the tarot. And you also can come up with your own magic spells and stuff for each element, and it usually revolves around the strength or the perception or stuff. And it's very magic-y, so like water is perception, and like blue is in the game annotated with a little water droplet. It's kind of like your more like mindy stuff or teleportation, encounter, magic-y kind of stuff. Fire is blasting people with fire or buffing yourself usually. Earth is like usually like an L5R, putting rocks on your body or using the earth to like block stuff off. And intelligence is more like the social kind of magic. And you have those. You have like feats and stuff that you can buy that'll give you stuff like getting a familiar or having like a beast companion or having like some minor effect and stuff. And basically the way you make your character is there's a deck of character cards and you draw 5, and the front of the card has a picture on it, and the back of the cards have like 4 or 5 questions you have to answer. So you have to somehow come up with a backstory off of all these really different cards. So you'll see one that's like a girl in the medieval style garden, and then on the back it'll say, how do you know this woman in the picture? Do you like describe the castle that she's in and stuff like this. So you kind of come up with like your plane or your world based off these cards. Then you'll have like one where it's like a shaman pushing a monkey into a fire or something like that. You'll have to go, how does this man know the monkey, and like all this other stuff, and try to tie it all in together. And it's a whole lot of fun. I like normally my first kind of like preconceived notion going into it is like it's diceless. I don't really want to do that. Like, I like rolling dice. That's like one of the kind of fun things, collecting your dice, having your dice that you always use, rolling them, stuff like that. The nice like scale and spread that you get. But honestly, it was one of the best games, like campaign wise, that I've ever played in. And I might be looking back a bit like rose-coloredly with it, because it's the only game I played where we had a complete party wipe, because everyone like Amber ended up turning against each other and tried to murder each other at the end, and a druid just erased the multiverse. out of
He's
existence
looking
because
at
we
it with
failed to stop him.
rose-colored glasses because of a total party kill.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Basically, all of our characters thought we were all descended. Basically, we were like the grandsons of this demon, and our mother was basically like the goddess of the multiverse, and she wanted to choose a child to basically rule over it. So my character I was basically playing like Thor, the character where I was like a high fire, high earth, like melee focused, like combatant, and we found this artifact that like housed the spirit of our grandfather's soul, and he always whispered to me that like I was the chosen one and all this stuff. And then I ended up like turning on the party at the end because someone else tried to drink this chalice that would give him the godhood. We had all this stuff, and one of the other PCs was like, "I got visions," because he bought a feat that was he could see like future stuff. He's like, and he had a druid character in his backstory. He's like, he's trying to erase everything. We gotta like go do this. And we were all too busy like being consumed by our ambition and stuff, and kill. Like I murdered that character, threw him off of a building. Then we all like went after each other. Then we went home, and our mom was like, "What are you doing?" And then like the multiverse erased. So maybe I have a little bit of fondness, but it's a fun game. Don't go into like if you have
The
like
multiverse erased. It's not just a game.
it's like a neat way to do. Like we actually went to at one point we went to New Phyrexia because their GM played Magic back in the day, and we like had to fight like basically I think it was actually before it came New Phyrexia, so it was Mirrodin still, if I remember correctly, and we had to fight like corrupted artifacts and stuff like that. It was pretty cool, but I would say this is like a good one to if you kind of have like preconceived notions about diceless games to like try, because the tarot card is really cool, the randomness of it and how you get a different thing off each one. It's got some familiar aspects, and the kind of magic-y stuff in it is really neat.
So I did look it up though, and it's only the major arcana for the tarot, not the full 70.
Gotcha.
8 tarot cards. You only have the 22.
Yeah.
So it's not as random as I was originally thinking. But yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really neat. It's something I would like to maybe do for monthly modules one time, but I don't know how you would do tarot stuff on there. That you guys maybe there's like a random tarot thing you can do.
So the way I handled fate points in Roll20 was through a deck of cards, and it does have support for cards, for using cards and stuff.
I guess you would still need the images, though. I guess.
Yeah, but you can find tarot images. But,
well, I mean that specific one, right?
Yeah,
for character creation. Like I've got a deck of Dishonored tarot cards, but I don't know how that would work for character creation.
But if you have the book, you could just scan it in, crop out the pictures, and throw it in or something like that.
If we decided what we do, here's what I do. I'd just borrow my friend's copy, and we could either do that. I could like load the images, and on like to like a imager or something, and then like just assign like a dice to each one, and probably have everybody roll for it.
That'd be interesting.
They might have like an online version of the cards that help people too, because people realize that RPGs are like becoming more global and people are playing together on the internet and stuff. So there's probably somewhere someone's put them up before. And they came out with like expansions that have more cards and stuff, but the tarot cards are not what you use to create your character. There's like separate storyline like cards that are specific to the game. So yeah, but it's really neat. I like it a lot. If I can get it to work, we might have to try it again. I know I've said that about like 2 or 3 games that we haven't done yet, but still.
Put them on the list, Obs.
Yeah. It's familiar enough since we've all played L5R.
Yeah.
And if you want to be like a god who travels through the plains and does stuff, you probably throw some magic-y stuff in there. It'd be pretty easy to port over.
There you go.
All right, that's been episode 17 of Podcast 5 Rings, your source of enlightenment in the realm of video games, tabletop, anime, film, and tech. Each episode of Podcast 5 Rings releases Monday mornings on iTunes and SoundCloud, now topic by topic, day by day on YouTube, with the full video releasing on Fridays. Give us a follow on social media. We're at Podcast 5R, Facebook, P5R Podcast. We got our YouTube channel up, so check that out for day-by-day episodes. Like I said in the intro, Meta's got a stream that he'll get back to eventually.
Eventually. I've been gone for so long on that. It's just been real life stuff that's been getting in the way.
Oh yeah, man. I can understand that totally. But yeah, be sure to check us out on there. If you liked any of the topics we talked about, and you follow us on social media, feel free to comment in the comment section. We'd be happy to engage with you and give some feedback and bounce some ideas off each other. Maybe there was a video game that you grew up with that you have nostalgia. Maybe you were a Sega fanboy and you really liked Comic Zone and you want to tell me how much you love Comic Zone.
There's like the one listener who really did and like heard that dripping with sarcasm and is now not going to post.
I love comics.
If you're out there, if you're listening to us, post it. We want to see it.
Or Sonic, whatever.
We do.
You know what? I'm gonna say it right now. I enjoyed Comic Zone, regardless of how hard it was and how lame its continue system was.
So Matt actually played it too.
I played it too. I tried to actually beat the whole game, but I couldn't take the fact of how hard of a failure was in that game. Once you lose your lives, back to the beginning.
Yep. So Comic Zone fans, come out in full force. Feel free to chuck some flames our way. I ain't scared.
Just an obs.
I got tats in the mouth of the walls to abandon me because of all the shit we talked about crab. Until next time, we will see you next week with some crab cards, and I think Mal has something to say.
No.
Nothing to say.
Nothing important.
I'll talk about crab cards next week.
Just like a crab, nothing to say. Just grunts and scratches. See you next week.
You may think that we would abandon you, but you know what? Duty above all else. So all the same, we'll show you that honor.
Let him burn.
Let you run your mouth.
I was gonna say let him burn.
Let you run your mouth
Definitely
up in your palace.
Wah, wah.
Oh my god.
All right, bye everybody.
Later, guys.
See you.